Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rich Longo, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. We still have a number of folks that are still joining us, logging in and dialing in, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Today's webinar is BMC Footprint Service Core 12, the first look. And I would like to introduce Greg Gilda, our presenter today. Greg Gilda has been with Flycast Partners for over 3 years now, and Greg has been responsible for hundreds of Footprints implementations. He has been in the IT industry for over 17 years and has provided ITIL consultative skills to numerous clients regarding ITIL best practices and critical success factors required for smooth implementation and operation. Before we get started, Greg, let me tell everyone more about Flycast Partners. Flycast Partners provides IT service management and IT asset management consulting to organizations all across North America. Our clients remain ahead of the curve on technology adoption while maintaining the rock-solid principles of ITIL and practical focused projects. Our website is always monitored by our team of well-trained ITSM specialists. Please visit us online at www.flycastpartners.com. This is just one of our many weekly webinars, and you can go to our live webinar page to see some of the webcasts that we have coming up. We encourage you to utilize our website for researching industry white papers, training that is available from ITIL to ITSM tools, assistance with professional services, and new ITSM Solution Finder. For those of you from the Honolulu area in Hawaii, I encourage you to go sign up for our BMC Technology Days IT Service Management Seminar Series. The class is filling up, and it is being held at Morton's in Honolulu on the Oahu Island. Now, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and make Mr. Gilda our presenter and let him take it away.
Hey, Rich, thanks a bunch for the introduction. I hope everyone is able to hear. I see one person said that they had lost audio, so hopefully they were able to get it back or dial back in. I'm going to flip over.
I hear you loud and clear.
Screen. Perfect. And you can hopefully see the screen.
Perfectly.
Excellent. Now, if only I was in Honolulu. I think that would be perfect. For those of you who might be in Honolulu,
was too.
Right, I hear you. That would be a pretty good time. Instead, it's kind of dreary and rainy where I am. But hail to everybody from across North America. We've got folks from coast to coast and up and down the continent. So thank you for joining us and taking a little time out of your afternoon to learn a little bit something about the Footprints version 12. Now, V12 is a recent addition to the Footprints family, just reared its head really a couple months back. And so we wanted to take an opportunity to introduce you to some of its capabilities, some of its features. Obviously, the fact that it looks a little different and acts a little different. And to start, I wanted to be able to sort of dive into what Footprints is in general. For those of you who may not have ever seen the product before, or may not be aware of what it is, Footprints is an ITSM solution, IT service management solution, that is built around the notion of being 100% codeless. So everything that is set up and that we'll be talking about this afternoon is done without any code. It's through a point-and-click interface, which means that you can start to get a hold of the power inside of the tool very, very quickly and efficiently, because you don't have to send someone to a special class. You don't have to take your Java programmer who's busy during the day and start working him at night too while they fix, the tool or start coding for functions. All of that capability is done through a point-and-click interface. And Footprints is 100% web-based, so all the stuff we're going to be talking about is really done through a browser, any browser. In this case, I happen to be displaying this information in Chrome. I can go over to my customer service portal who happens to be logged in using Internet Explorer. So it doesn't really matter what browser version you're using. It's quite browser agnostic. It'll work fine with Opera, or you can use it with Safari or Firefox or whatever your corporation happens to use from a standard perspective. So that said, we have a web-based product that's ITSM service management, right? IT service management, and that is codeless. So you don't have to worry about writing any code to make anything function. But one of the key differentiators in Footprints, and for those of you who may be on the solution right now in an earlier iteration, you recognize this key difference. It's known as a workspace. And the concept of a workspace is unique to FootPrints. Workspaces are really the collection of all of the stuff you need to manage a process. So in many tools, these things may be added modules, right? Hey, I don't have the problem module in my tool. In FootPrints, those modules are really kind of passé. You don't need a module to manage problem management. What you need is a specific workflow with specific field data, specific statuses, a problem manager, some policies and processes in place in your organization. But FootPrints doesn't need a separate module to be able to do that. A workspace can be crafted with that point-and-click interface to construct capabilities for managing problems or for managing your latest marketing efforts or your human resources requests, or really any kind of request, because at its core, FootPrints is a request engine, right? It's a workflow engine that can even incorporate the ability to authorize requests using FootPrints change management functionality. And that's any kind of request, not just changes to your infrastructure. So let's talk a little bit about what you're looking at, because my screen has been static for a while and people are probably going, is he moving? Is he clicking stuff? Now you can see my mouse cursor moving, hopefully. And what we're looking at right now is one of the ways in which folks can interact with FootPrints. In this case, it happens to be one of our technicians who is logged in looking at things through his own console. FootPrints is now comprised of what are called portals, which represent how you're coming into the tool and what functions you may have access to, and consoles that determine the kind of information that you may have displayed on your screen, whether or not you're able to view the service catalog or browse knowledge categories, or even see yours or a workspace's calendar so you can see who's busy, who's not, who's naughty, who's nice. You can also take a look at all of the items that may be assigned to you, or simply looking at all items across all workspaces, seeing all the changes or incident requests or service requests that may exist inside the organization, or ferreting this information out further so that you're only looking at the things that are your assignments or assigned to your team, or any other type of information that you'd like to display. So this home screen, if you will, is available for customers as well. Customers can log into their own portal and have access to things like the service catalog. Right? So you can give them an easy way to click on some nice big shiny icons and request the kinds of services that your customers might want to have. You can also give them access to the knowledge base so that they can see the knowledge that you might have in-house. And FootPrints, of course, comes with knowledge bases, no knowledge in it, but the structure of that knowledge. Your knowledge is your own, right? Your information is your own. But FootPrints comes with the shell to allow you to capture your knowledge and segregate it out in any way that's appropriate for you. So that way your facilities team doesn't have to see how to handle servers, and your server guys don't have to know a thing about how to handle HVAC systems. All of the knowledge can be fully segregated, both across customers and across our technicians or agents inside the product. Other ways that customers can, of course, interact with the tool, they don't have to just say, hey, I would like to report an incident or request a service. They can use the service catalog to request and drill into specific services here. They can also call you, right? They call you on the phone to ask for a service. Then our customers, or our agents, excuse me, have the ability to open up that ticket directly. So if they took a call, we can have a new service request or the customer reporting an incident, or our customers can have their request processed through the service catalog in the same way that they have access. You might notice here that this is a little different looking than the services that are available for our customer. When I drill into our service category of IT services here, we've granted our technicians, our technical folks, access to some more services than we have granted our customer access to in the same area. Customers don't have server services because we don't want them saying, hey, go build me a server. And they also don't have access to direct network services because they're typically not ordering new network drops or new connections to a new service provider. So those kinds of services or any others can be fully separated inside of FootPrints, allowing customers to order only the things that you'd like. Now, I have just a couple of examples here, for example, but we can give customers access to some simple services for service requests. We could give them access to business application services. And in this case, what I've done is displayed a couple different ways that you could have this information displayed back to your customer, right? Here, I've got this in a little more detail. They both request the same thing. I've used a different icon to describe one than the other. So I did this just to give you an idea that you can really construct this information in any way that's appropriate for you, right? Including the pictures, the write-ups, the details about whatever it is that you'd like to have your customers order and request from you. You can also take away the customer's ability to even ask for this service. In this particular case, our customer cannot request that service at all. We can simply display it or tell our customers, hey, go reach out to your manager and they can place an order for you. But under this particular choice, we've given our customers the ability to request that service and gain access to Microsoft Project. So you can display services for your customers that they may require someone else to order for them. You can hide the services completely from them, or you can allow them to move all the way through and request a particular service very easily. In this case, our customers are given this simple list of interfaces. Hey, I would like access to Project, and any other notes that they wish to provide can certainly be provided back. Customer simply then has to save the ticket, and the system is now going to track that particular request, including all the updates, who made the updates, etc., about their request for service for that new project request that they asked for. Our agents, of course, can gain access to services as well. And notice that our agents have access to things like network services and server services, in this case, that our customers don't have access to. But they can also place orders for the exact same type of service. Notice that when we do, our agents are going to be able to see a lot more information, right? Lots more detail, because these are our technicians, so they're going to have access to more detail about the ticket, some general information about the service itself, anyone who may subscribe to this service constantly, right? If it's something that you offer in your organization, either by way of granting rights or through a subscription, you can know who uses the service. So therefore, when that service is being provisioned, you can know whether or not these folks are eligible, or whether to add more people to the, yep, they use this service list, which can also help you determine who's going to be affected when a particular service is down, correct? Now, our agents can fill out tickets in this way through the tool, or they can come in and take a phone call, right, for a new service request or a new incident. We'll just pretend we're going to report an incident here. Now, FootPrints also allows our customers or our agents to simply email it in. Right? If you don't want them to have to log into the tool at all, if you don't want your customer to have access to anything here, not even a simple form to request a particular type of incident or service, you can just allow your customers to use email. And FootPrints will accept email requests, take them in directly as tickets, process those tickets, and then notify the customer of any updates that you wish to have them aware of as a result. So your agents can be working inside of the ticket itself while your customer is exchanging data through their email system, and neither person can be the wiser. Right? Customer won't know how the agent's talking to them. Agent doesn't have to know that it's from the customer unless you choose to expose that information. So all of the detail that you see here is done through a point-and-click interface, right? So when you're entering your issues, whatever that issue happens to be, we can certainly begin this as an in-progress ticket. It's probably going to be department-wide, and I've included some hover over mouse text asking how big the crater is, because when we think about it, the impact of an issue in our environment, we're really thinking about it in terms of, okay, how widespread, right? Is it just one person? Did it fall, nowhere? Is it not hurting anyone? Or is it harming the entire company? And if we're saying, hey, it's the whole campus, everybody on the whole company campus is impacted, and they're not working normally, work has stopped. This has now become an urgent issue, right? Whole campus, work stopped, probably urgent. And if you happen to be a college campus, you can even include things like safety, right? Student or other safety, now making the issue a critical issue, saying we got to get to this right away, because it's not just impacting, a big wide swath, but people are hurt. Where it fell is on their day job, and it's harming them, stopping them from doing work. FootPrints can automatically track the source, or you can fill in the source that you would like for how the customer contacted you, and begin to fill in the information about their email outage or whatever the issue happens to be. We've included some tech notes down here. These notes aren't visible to customers, and we've done it deliberately so that we can exchange information between our technicians that our customers don't have to be aware of. That way, the secret sauce that we're doing to fix things, all the technical mumbo-jumbo that gets passed from technician to technician, does not have to be shared with customers, neither in an email nor on their web page. That way the customer can see only the friendly, shiny, smiley, happy information that says we're working on your issue and now we have it fixed, versus the, hey, we've had to reboot this server 26 times, and by the way, have you run this script to get the thing started? None of that stuff has to be shared with our customer. We can classify the issue. Notice that we chose not to give customers access to this, because that's kind of the equivalent of giving customers access to WebMD before you go to the doctor. Yes, doc, this is what I have. Trust me. Just give me something. Right? You'd probably rather have the doctor check just to be sure. So rather than have customers try to guess at what their category of issue is, you probably should, maybe they want to compliment you. You probably should actually do this part yourself, right? Report on what the issue actually is, choose the source, choose a preferred contact method. You can fill in some information about who the customer is just by typing in any information that you happen to know for that customer, and then choosing to link the issue to that customer. Now it'll pull back Kim's information and populate it automatically. If Kim had a phone number, it would supply that as well. If we were linking to Bmc Client Management, you can bring up asset information about the products that you happen to be connected to. Client Management is another solution that BMC offers that ties directly with FootPrints that allows you to take multiple actions, including automatically restarting the computer, pushing data out, remote controlling it, etc. And we can even provide remote control capability for these PCs if they're somewhere in Starbucks. They don't have to be on your network. So these are additional capabilities that FootPrints offers. Retailer information, I've included this here strictly as a way of saying, look, you can capture any detail you'd like. Anything that's important to you. If you're a retailer or if you have exchanges with customers outside of your company and you need to have field data that captures some very specific info, you can include it on the form as well. So the sky's the limit because the entire system is done through a drag and drop interface, and we're going to talk about that a little. We'll just further categorize our issue here and say that, yes, it's a software issue, and we can pick what our subcategory happens to be. We'll pick Outlook in this case. We can pick a symptom and just say can't connect. That's fair enough. And we can fill out the rest of the info if we'd like. Notice that for you folks who are familiar with FootPrints, you know that you could look at it with buttons before, or you could look at it scrolling before, but now you can do either one. You don't have to pick one or the other. You can actually choose both. Notice that I've assigned everybody to this ticket too. Changing assignees is very, very simple. I can just choose the one or more people that I would like to remove from this ticket. Say, hey, you know, we don't need really any of these other people. Just a service desk is fine. So we can have, or server support, is perfectly fine to have on this ticket. We can CC additional folks, link to additional tickets from here, even linking to potential ongoing problems that may be indicative of, hey, we're already working on an email outage issue. Maybe that's what's going on. So let's link to that particular problem so that we can now have some tie-outs between the continual incidents and the fact that we're doing some underlying root cause work. Saving the ticket will allow the system to automatically parse emails out, notify the appropriate people, tell the customer if they're supposed to be told, and update any history for this particular request, because everything that's done against the ticket is going to be tracked, who did it, when they did it, what they said, and a full history will be tracked for this particular ticket, showing you whether the system parsed any rules against it, whether or not any actions were taken by me, and exactly what those actions might have been. So this complete history will continue to grow as your ticket life grows, and all the information about what's happened is going to be captured in the tool. No more lost detail, right? Another nice element, FootPrints will, of course, track the time spent on this particular ticket. And you can see right now there is additional time being spent, 36 additional seconds. If I were to save again, I would have spent that additional time editing this particular ticket. But I can also add my own time with hours, minutes, a comment, even separate billing rates for those of you who may be operating a shared services model or looking to go to one. This allows your agents, your technicians, to behave in multiple ways inside the organization or provide different bill rates for different types of services, depending on who the customer is, what the classification of server is, etc. So, or service, excuse me. So in this way, you can ensure that you're keeping track of not only the fact you're delivering services, but what the actual costs of delivering those services are, because each agent can have multiple bill rates, and these bill rates can vary depending on whether they're acting as a tech writer today or a DBA today. Right? So we're just going to go ahead and add an additional 1 hour and 5 minutes, and we'll say that was for troubleshooting. If I could spell, that'd be good. You're all watching me. I'm all nervous now. There. So I've added some additional time for troubleshooting. Notice that I don't have a bill rate included for me, but if I did, we could know exactly what that bill rate is, so exactly what it costs to get these services delivered. It can be tracked. Now, of course, we can create tickets from scratch, or we can build them from templates as well. FootPrints allows us to use some common templates for things that we do all the time. For example, I could create a password reset ticket straight away just by choosing password reset, and it would turn this entire ticket into a password reset ticket now, right? I'm going to close this one up, not save it, just to give you an idea of what I mean. If we chose to report an incident, rather than turning my email ticket into a password reset ticket, if we chose to report an incident, I'm just going to say, yeah, this is for doing a password reset. And now the system has filled in all the information necessary. Single user, work stops, it's a request, it's of important priority, and all the rest of the details filled in, including the assignee. So in this way, we can move those tickets through to the correct people at the correct time with minimal to no information having to be populated on the record. This helps us work smart. And one of the things that FootPrints does extremely well is help you work smart. You're going to need that ability going forward, because every few seconds you save per ticket, if you're taking especially dozens to hundreds of tickets, maybe even thousands of tickets in a day or a week, a minute or two saved here and there can really add up in those volumes of tickets. So FootPrints will absolutely help you with that. Now, we talked a little bit about the dashboard and about the knowledge base. You can have leverage to whatever knowledge you would like, whether this is your own internal IT knowledge or whether it's knowledge for facilities or some other functionality. So knowledge is certainly a part of the FootPrint solution, and it allows you to manage and even gain approvals for any knowledge before it gets published. I know from my own life cycle, when I was working in IT more heavily as a service desk manager for level 1 and 2, I insisted that my folks write a couple or 3 knowledge base articles per quarter, just to be sure that my knowledge was constantly being updated and refreshed, and that everybody was still, sharp about what it was that they needed to do. And that ensured that my knowledge base grew and that it was being maintained properly. So FootPrints can allow you to manage whatever knowledge you have using whatever policies or procedures you have. But FootPrints does much more than this. With FootPrints, you can manage your configuration items, right? FootPrints has a CMDB baked in as a part of it. Let's talk a little bit about what the CMDB is and what it's intended for. Many organizations believe that configuration management is kind of like managing your assets, which is partly true, right? The service assets that represent your configuration items are the assets in your organization that deliver the services that you use. And that's what the CMDB is designed to track. Configuration Management Database is what the acronym stands for. Just like IT means information technology, everything we do seems to be an acronym. But in the CMDB, we have the ability to relate items to other items. So that means if we have, let's say, critical configuration item of Microsoft Exchange, and we want to look at some information about Exchange itself, right, the application, we can take a look at that particular system directly from here. Or if we wanted to look at the service itself, these are the things that the people touch, right? This is the real life experience of folks working inside your organization, because the services they use on their desktops or however they access them are the ways in which they interpret your ability to deliver those services. It'd be like you walking up to the bank using the cash machine only to find that it's once again out of order, right? Would you trust them? They're the ones that provide the service, they're the ones that maintain it. So IT has services that it provides too, and we can look at our email service, for example, see some more information about it, like its criticality, but also some information about who utilizes it, what powers it. Hey, this is powered by Microsoft Exchange, so we use Exchange to drive email. But we can also get some information about some of the relationships between this system and others, either by looking at these relationships listed this way, or by looking at these in a visualizer, seeing that Microsoft Exchange is indeed powering our email system, that we have an incident logged against email, right, where we said this email service is what's affected. Because when you create those incident records, linking them to configuration items is one of the ways in which you can help ensure we understand email has been problematic for a long time. We could have lots of these here. We can also see that we have a dependency between the departments that use this service and the service itself. So when you think about your accounting team or your legal department or whatever the departments are in your organization, how great is it to be able to see who uses which systems so you understand who is going to be calling you right? Who's going to be picking up the phone and saying, hey, we have an issue. And therefore, you can now be proactive. You can reach out to them and say, hey, we understand you guys are using this particular service. This service is currently down. We have some incidents open against it. We wanted to let you know that we're working on it. And you can proactively tell them. Because think about this. How many times have you guys been the first caller to the power company? Most of the time, they already know you're affected as soon as you give them who you are, what your address is, right? Oh, yes, there's a transformer affecting your area. So they can be proactive and tell you this stuff ahead of time without you having to tell them. They're aware. You guys in IT should be able to do the same. And you can, of course, continue this out to another step. If I do, it's going to get even more tangled because we can see now that the application is installed on a server and that there are incidents logged and tickets and people who are tied to these particular incidents, right? So we can see that JP, one of our customers, has logged this incident against email. We can also see information about the fact, as I said, that Exchange is installed here. You can move these diagrams around any way you'd like, zoom them in or out so that they're as visual or as clean as you would like their layout to be. So in that way, you can make some decisions about what's going to be impacted inside the environment as a result of changes, right, that we sometimes make. Now, FootPrints, of course, can absolutely manage your change requests as well as other types of requests. And managing change requests is as simple as telling FootPrints you would like to open one, right? Creating a new change request, which then includes information about the plans for that change, like its implementation or validation plan, any particular contacts necessary, who's being assigned. And of course, you can then specify who's supposed to approve based on any criteria inside the change request itself, right? Based on the category of the change or based on your own internal process that says, hey, change management first, then technical review next, then the change advisory board, which is a business meeting. Once we've done all that, all of these approval workflows are supported by FootPrints directly, which means any number of people can be in line to say yes or no. They can say yes or no in parallel or series or any combination thereof. And any threshold percentage from 1% up to 99% in 1% increments can be chosen so that you can make sure the right percentage of people have had eyes on and said, yes, this is okay. And that includes any kind of workflow that you want to manage for any sort of request. Right? Any request that you can make, not just changes to your IT infrastructure, such as managed tier, but what if I wanted that copy of project? Does somebody have to approve that? What if I want a day off? Is that supposed to be authorized by someone? Anything that you're passing paper around right now for can be managed in FootPrints because it can authorize anything by using some of its workflow design capability. And with that, I'm going to briefly take you behind the scenes to show you just a little bit about how the sausage is made. I know, kids, shield your eyes. Don't try this at home. In FootPrints, the administrative capability, and for those of you who are used to older versions of the product, this is going to look vastly different. The administrative capabilities are now very clean, tidy, all laid out with these nice shiny pictures. The ability to administer the system as a whole is handled on this segment, and the ability to administer the individual objects like your service portfolios, your configuration management area, knowledge, address books, contact information, and of course, workspaces is all handled from here. Each workspace can be given its own fields, its own statuses, its own priorities. We'll drill into our service desk a little bit to show that even under our service desk, I can manage incidents on its own form, service requests on their own form, surveys inside the same workspace with their own form. I can manage problems inside of it as well with a separate form. Each of these forms, each of these record definitions has its own workflow associated with it. And each of these can have multiple workflows. So if some of these service requests, for example, require an authorization step to happen, I can drill into the service request, see that it's available for my customer, and make the customer form look the way I want, have it available for the agents who also log into the web. And with the forthcoming mobile application that BMC will be releasing, you can have the particular form available on that mobile device if you'd like to, in addition to being able to view it on your web page. So each form, I'm going to drill into this very, very quickly, each form can be fully modified directly inside the tool using a drag and drop interface. So if there are particular fields that you would like to drag out onto the form, you can simply place those fields wherever you would like to. And you can create your own fields as well, so all of your own field names can be built, capturing the detail you would like to capture on the form. It's that easy to be able to add and subtract information, even adding your own sections, so that if you'd like an additional tab or section added to the form, you can create a brand new one and call it whatever you'd like. There, I just built a brand new section. Maybe I don't want it there, maybe I want it in this section of the form. And this way, FootPrints now allows you to start creating and capturing the information that matters to you, that matters to your workflow, that matters to your process and to your organization, so that you can quickly design the workflows necessary and start managing this stuff in an automated way instead of having to push paper around. Let's go back real quick to show you that that life cycle of the ticket is actually comprised of some workflow processes. And I can construct new workflows, as many as I want, edit existing workflows. Let's do that. We'll edit our existing basic service request workflow. Note that this workflow is done through a visual workflow designer, so I have the ability to add workflow elements, move the workflow elements around, create the kinds of connections between them that I would like. Which means if we imagine this as trains and train stations, I can ensure that the ticket stops only at the stations it's supposed to stop at based on the kinds of tickets that we're putting through the system. So if it needs an authorization, for example, I can label any status I would like as an approval state for FootPrints, maybe this in progress status, for example. If I've done that, FootPrints is going to automatically ask if I would like to add the approved state and the rejected state, so that it knows what to do from in progress. And of course, I can now add specific business rules directly from here that allow me to say who's supposed to approve, how many approvers are going to be necessary to make this work, etc. So all of that capability, including what the next statuses are, whether there's an expiration for that approval, who the approvers can be, how many of them do we need, what are the days and hours for the work schedule that they have to actually authorize this, and any business rules that need to manage this so that if they're missing deadlines or we get things approved because enough people said yes, then we can easily manage these business rules all through a point-and-click interface. And if I said approved tickets are allowed to be completed, there, I've just made the connection between approved and completed, whereas rejected tickets are only going to be allowed to be closed. So we can make quick and easy modifications to any workflows that we would like, adding our own workflows for certain kinds of requests that only stop off at the correct stations in life, right? Only through the right statuses. And therefore, they only get to be worked on, performed, acted against if they're authorized, if that's what you need, or they can move right through to the end of the cycle, depending on what that workflow calls for. Now, the ability to capture all this information in FootPrints and the ability to manage these workflows and create your own workspaces, because you can have as many as you'd like. I started creating workspaces that have all kinds of different names out here: service desk, change management, human resources. You can have workspaces that manage almost anything. But the ability to manage all of this stuff really boils down to how do I get the information back out, right? How will I be allowed to pull information back out of the system? And FootPrints really lets us do that through a couple of fairly simple ways. One, I can simply choose to make some simple searches for anything, right? So whether it's in my assets, and I named my CMDB my assets so that folks can see and understand that part of it, the service desk, problem management, surveys, contacts, contracts, I can search anything for any kind of terminology I'd like. And FootPrints will, if I hover my mouse over, remind me of some of the ways that I can format my data so that when I'm searching for two words, it will automatically AND them together, for example. But if I'm searching for a word with the word OR in between and then another word, then I'm going to look for either one value or the other. So quick searches can be done, very, very simple, right from the home screen, finding any information I would like. But I can also create searching using what's called an advanced search. And really what an advanced search is a search that I probably plan on using more than once. I'm probably going to go after the information more than once, call it, whatever search I would like to call it. Describe the search in detail if I'd like, make it available to people besides myself if I want. That way I can have it shared with other agents so that they can gain access to this particular search if we'd like to. And any notes to go along with this search, when it should be triggered, what it should be used for, etc., can be here. Then we can decide across all of our items what I would like to search in, right? So I can search in my knowledge base information. I can search problems. Notice that I can also search TechNet or Google directly from here for particular words. Yes, it will pass the information out to the website and have those lookups done there in addition to here. We're going to search our service request area. Maybe we'll also search incidents for particular tickets. We can pick whatever other areas we'd like. And now FootPrints is saying, what do you want to search for? If you note, I am not writing SQL queries, right? I'm not writing scripts. I don't have to know anything about the DBA. I don't have to even know how to spell DBA. I can simply choose which information in every field, all forms, every bit of data that's captured is searchable in combination. So I can and or these search combinations right here inside the tool. I don't need a DBA to be able to write these queries or someone with access to the database. I can simply pick the information that I would like maybe I'd like to search for status of tickets that are equal to a particular value. So show me all of our in-progress tickets, for example. We can add additional search criteria here if we want to and say, hey, I don't just want to see in-progress tickets. I also want to see tickets that are in a request status. So now it'll do both. Right? It'll look for either one of them. Which fields am I going to display? Any fields that I have available can become a part of my search. So maybe if I want the priority and then the record number and the status and the title of that ticket or any other details about it I can include. And if I decided the title should probably come after the priority, maybe I want that record number up top, I can easily drag this information around. When I'm ready, I can choose how I want to publish the information. Should I make it available to Service Analytics, which is FootPrints' reporting engine, and in this way use this search as the, quote, query that my report would be based on, right? Sure, I can do that. And I can also have it available as a part of that FootPrints mobile app that is going to be forthcoming for the product. When I'm done, I can review the results, seeing information that's available to me. I can add additional columns to the form if I would like right from here. So if I decided, hey, I really wanted to have that created on, I just didn't include it, now I can include that particular column. Of course, these are all searchable and sortable too, so I can sort it ascending or descending if I'd like, or move them around the page just by dragging them around like that. So very, very simple to get this information laid out as I'd like. My save and run says, hey, I've created it, I like it, maybe I'm going to save this, run it later. Sure, we'll save it and run it. It'll now produce that same search right here on the screen for me. And that search is also going to be available for me in my advanced searches when I go to manage searches. Any search I've built, which includes this one that I just constructed, right, my ever popular whatever search, all searches that I've built are going to have a date and timestamp next to them like this. Searches that don't have were built by the system. The system actually constructed these for me as out-of-box functionality. And that way, I didn't have to construct any of these searches. They were all available to me immediately when I used the system for the first time. And just to give you an idea of how that happened, when I first set my system up, I chose the business process of the service desk. FootPrints allows you to create a business process for a typical help desk scenario, right? It'll build a help desk workspace, capturing that data and then an address book, or you can use it for something like human resources, which is how I got my human resources workspace created. Or you could do what I did, and I simply said, build all of these workspaces, all of these containers, and when I choose continue, FootPrints will ask me which address book I'd like to use. Yes, I'll use the existing one. The next step is going to build all of this stuff that I just looked at, which means my ability to begin reporting starts right away because I'm now able to start capturing data. I have some basic out-of-box functionality. And when I click continue, it takes about 6 minutes to complete that process. The workspaces that I have access to, as we talked about, can then easily be used to manage my searches so that I can use particular searches for particular functions, call them back up anytime. And some of these searches, as we said, were built as a result of me using that business process. Anything with a date after it, I did myself, but anything without one was built by the system. Now, this information all leads to one place, right? The ability to do service analytics. And service analytics is really the ability to do reports. So let's talk about that for a second. When I click on Service Analytics, FootPrints takes me to the ability to create brand new reports. ticket management type reports, right? Basic stuff. People think of this as, what are your out-of-box reports? As if an out-of-box report actually represented your business, right? Your particular line of business or the things you do. FootPrints can report, of course, on all of these common types of reports, including watch lists for particular kinds of tickets that show up, and it'll leverage any of those searches that we've built. But it'll also let you build searches or reports, for things in your service portfolio, like service level targets, work targets, service level agreements, contracts. You can do custom reporting, making a report on literally any criteria that you want with any kind of layout components that you like. And I'll show you what all this looks like in just a moment. You can search or create reports across items, so multiple workspaces can now be included in a single report. You have workspaces that manage incidents in multiple places. You can combine all of the data into one single report for all of those separate workspaces, even if you have separate, disparate customers using each workspace. You can manage time tracking. How much time are we spending? Who's spending it? How much is it costing, especially if we're using bill rates? And of course, we can create dashboards out of any combination of reports that we would like, meaning anything producing a graph or a chart or a table can become a part of a dashboard. So any dashboard that we wish to build is really built from any reports that we choose to use in the system. Now, I've constructed some reports. You can see there are 3 custom reports here. I've got this average age report that I've put together. And clicking on any of these allows me to run these reports again, right? I can do anything that I want to with them. So I'm going to pick on the ever-popular My Report here. When I move into the My Report area, this is the FootPrints report writer. Don't expect places for scripts because there is no place for scripts, right? Don't expect complicated programming language. There is no programming language. I could pilot something different if I wanted to, but I think My Report is just so terribly clever. I'm searching incidents, and I'm using the active ticket search, but I could use any search that I saved, right? So any search that I've created, including that search that I just looked at that said, hey, I want my whatever search. Just give me tickets that match that particular criteria. Right? So I can easily use this as a search criteria if I wanted, or all of my active tickets, or anything else that I wanted, right? Advanced search, whatever I want to call it. When I've picked a particular search to use, I can decide, hey, which fields are going to appear. If I want to include additional information, like maybe the priority of the ticket, that might be important to know. And maybe I want to get some age information just so that I know how old some of this stuff is. I added those fields as part of the report out. There'll be columns on my report now. I'm using work hours rather than clock hours because, hey, we don't provide 24/7 support, so no sense in dinging me on things that happen at dark 100, right? Or you could say, yes, we provide 24/7 support, so we'll just use real clock hours. Now, a lot of times folks will export information from their tool or mine it with Excel because they feel that Excel has charts or graphs in it, or because Excel can manipulate the data in some way, right? Maybe I could do formulas or change layouts. But what if you didn't need to do all that? Right? What if you could simply handle that directly inside the tool, creating crosstab reports, adding charts, creating filters, grouping your data, using formula to add up columns, all the things that you would typically think I've got to export to make this work, you can now actually do directly inside of FootPrints. So we're going to make some simple stuff here. In the interest of time, I'm just going to add a chart. You can pick scatter, plot, heat map, gauge charts if you're trying to measure the actual success versus failure rate, right? Or whether you're operating in the right zone. In this case, we'll add a bar chart. And we'll make this status versus incident. And we will count them so that we can see how many of them we have. And let's add that chart. So we'll add the chart in as part of our report. Now FootPrints has a couple charts because I've also created this as a pie chart, and I now have this same data exported or available to me as a bar chart. You can see how many tickets are represented in each one, and we have the ability to choose what to do with it. So FootPrints has given me our columns, right? The incident number, last name, first name, all that stuff, and I can choose to just make a nice PDF out of that right now if I want to. Create a PDF document, print the thing out, save it somewhere, send it to someone, whatever I choose to do. Or I could choose any of my charts or graphs and do the same thing, export that as PDF. Or I can even say, yeah, let's just send this chart to Excel. Cool. So FootPrints has now sent that to Excel, and I now have the information available in Excel if I choose to manipulate it further there. It's now an Excel chart, which is kind of slick, right? But it doesn't do any good to have all this report capability if somebody says, yeah, I want that report on my desk first thing Monday morning. And of course, you don't work first thing Monday morning, 6 o'clock. You're not there. You actually come in at like 9. So instead of having to go through that issue of waking up at who knows when, just set the report to automatically run. Now, an automatically run report can be, of course, titled whatever you'd like it to, based on whatever report you would want, output in the format of your choice. You can decide who's going to get this particular report. So is it going to be someone from the address book or an individual email address? Yes, this means you could even send your reports to me. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, you could, because anybody, it doesn't have to be somebody in your system anywhere. You can notify of these reports and this data. And then finally, you can just choose when you'd like the report to run. If you want to annoy your friends, make sure you set the report up to run every day, every hour, because they really love that. Well, honest, they told me. Better yet, maybe we just want it to run on Monday, right? So how about Monday instead of every day? Yeah, every Monday, every day, every Monday. And instead of hourly, let's just make it at 5 a.m., right? So now 5 a.m., if it's empty, don't send it. And I've saved the report. Boom, I have a new report that's scheduled to run, delivered to my manager every Monday, 5 in the morning. I don't have to wake up. And you can send as many reports up as you'd like this way. So really, FootPrints allows you to manage all of these requests, all of this stuff that you may be pushing paper around for now, or managing in some kind of spreadsheet or something, or having to pass sneaker net around, right, to get things signed off on. Hey, I have the email that says that Bob said that was okay. Right? Rather than do that stuff, it makes sense really to concatenate all that functionality under a single place, right? Single pane of glass like FootPrints, where you can easily get it set up and running. You can easily then begin to get your data back out of the system to tell you how well you're doing. And you can begin to tune the system in the way you would like, so that instead of things falling through the cracks or dropping into the black hole, you can have full information about all the information that's happening, like your email outage, your requests, any tickets for this month, or any tickets for today, any information that you need to see or right at your fingertips. So we, meaning me and the rest of Flycast, hope very much that you've enjoyed our session this afternoon. We have the ability to help you get your plans off the ground for FootPrints version 12 or any other kinds of process or tool discussion that you'd like. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. We look forward to the opportunity to work with you, and thank you again for joining us for another Flycast webinar. Rich, I'm going to turn this over to you so that you can say any closing remarks you'd like. Thanks again, everyone.
Another great presentation, Greg. Awesome. We had a lot of great questions today through chat and the question answer part of WebEx. I've tried to get answers for all of those questions that have been asked. If I haven't got to your question, I will try and reach out to you. Go ahead and send me an email. I probably already have it in the system, but I'll try to get those answers to you. I encourage you to give us a call at 844-FLYCAST, or go to our website and chat with us there at www.flycastpartners.com. We're more than happy to help answer your questions on FootPrints and on the Asset Core piece. Utilize our website. We do offer consulting services and training, and there's a variety of different options that you can check out that may assist you in some of your quests. On behalf of the entire team here at Flycast Partners in North America, I'd like to wish you a great afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day.